Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 153 of the greatest woodworking podcast on the interwebs. We haven't done this in a while, Off the Cut, which is complete trash. And I wouldn't even allow my 2- and 6-year-old sons to listen to it. So, all right. Got that out of the way. We have a little giveaway to do tonight, do we not, Sedge?
Yes.
The
Leading
woodpecker.
up to the Green Suitors Con every single week, one of our patrons is going to win a Woodpeckers mini square and a MDF case for it.
Beautiful MDF case, precision machined.
Precision machined. These are great. You know, they gave me a bunch of them and I sold most of them. It's pretty cool. That was for you, Will, and Jared, and any of you wood guys listening. Because, hey, guess what? There's a couple people from Blue Spruce and Woodpeckers that are going to be at the con. They got hotel. Oh yeah, they're pumped. We're gonna have such a good time there, and they were gracious enough to give us some of these for giveaways up until then. And
yes, they were.
Got some great stuff for giveaway at Green Suitors Con.
Well,
are you going to spin the wheel?
I'm going to spin the wheel, but real quick, we do have a giveaway participant sponsor this month. Matt Hickman and his associate Andy run the Facebook group Woodworking Deals Online, and they asked if they could sponsor a giveaway for us this month for 4 lucky patrons to win a $50 gift card to Amazon. And you can use that gift card to Amazon to check out some cool woodworking deals online on their group. So definitely check it out. Go to Facebook, Woodworking Deals Online. Check it out. 2 regular dudes posting cool discounts and deals that they find online. And they got a huge community, 20,000 plus. So pretty cool. So again, thank you so much, Matt, for sponsoring, not only being a patron, but also sponsoring our giveaway this month. Now, Mr. Sedgley, now I'm going to spin that wheel.
Spin the wheel. Break the deal. Spin the wheel.
Let me get a picture. Who is it? Matthew Guthrie.
All right. Woo!
Matthew Guthrie, congratulations. You, sir, have won a Woodpeckers mini square that Sedge may or may not have dipped in vinegar. You got to pause. You got to do the pause. I should try to work that into a YouTube video every time, just randomly. Vinegar, and then like zoom in on my face while I'm holding it.
Speaking of that, did you see Drew Witt's newest? I think he's posted it. He busted your chops like 3 times. He always does.
Like 6 times. Yeah, I did watch it.
But you know what? I watched the whole thing, and that was really cool. He crafts a great video.
Yeah.
He really does. And I liked it because he showed some of the build off in there.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really neat.
Oh, yeah, you were in it too. Yeah.
Yeah, he showed a picture of him. He goes, "This is a great picture of me showing Sedge how to use the track saw."
Yeah, he said something like, it almost appears as though I was teaching him something about the track saw.
It was but you know what? I was trying to look at it from a perspective. I kept watching. I watched it to the very end.
Yeah, I watched it too.
And he always has something really philosophical or, real meaningful in the overall context of the video. And it's about friends that he's met in woodworking.
He's good at telling a story.
Yeah.
Crafting a story.
Absolutely. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I recommend it to everybody.
Have you seen it, Ronnie?
No.
Probably not.
Yet. I will.
It was interesting. All right. Well, our giveaway stuff is done. We don't have any new patrons that I am aware of to mention. So can I just share something because it has to do with what I've been up to?
Sure.
Oh, but Jesus. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, yeah.
Jason, what have you been up to?
I need to say that I am absolutely obsessed with the Shaper Origin.
Oh.
I think that is the most amazing machine ever. Like
Told
it
you.
is, I'm trying to use it on everything. If you guys haven't seen my stories on what I did today, which I didn't invent this, I've seen other people do it, but I used the Shaper Origin to do it, and it was amazing, and it worked perfectly, and everything fits perfectly. And I've used the Shaper Origin to make my drawer box and this crazy pattern that is a mixture of like pins and longer tenons, and it all came together perfectly square. It looks fantastic. It's just such an amazing tool. I swear I will find a reason to use that tool on every single project that I build moving forward. And to be honest with you, I think it's going to elevate the projects that I make exponentially. It I've had that thing set up in my shop for the entire time I've been doing this, the nightstand that I'm doing for Rick's daughter. This thing is turning out amazing, and it's so cool. Like all I want to do is use that machine. I know you have one, Sedge. Ronnie, do you have a Shaper Origin?
No, I don't. And
Man.
my journey has been when I first saw it. The first time I saw it, I had my CNC then too, because it was at that Festival Connect when they had on site in Indiana before Festival was affiliated.
And that's before it was released.
Right. It was
they were pre-ordering.
Yeah, and I remember seeing it and I was like, well, that's it's really cool, but I have a CNC. I don't need it. But it has progressed since then. I have seen more and more times where I could use it. It's kind of like saying if you've got a speedboat, you don't need a houseboat. They both have a place, and Jason Hibbs just released a video of a table, like a TV table, and he made little simple arches with it. I just saw this last night, and he tripled them up, stacked them on top of each other, and it looks like such an intricate piece of to create that on my CNC would be a ton of work, like hold down work and things like that. So I see a place for it, but I used to not. That's my long answer. So I definitely see a place for it in the shop, but I used to think it was something redundant for me, but it's not.
Do you remember? I'm sure you do, because I'm sure you've gotten this a lot. But back in the day, probably 3 to 5 years ago, and everybody's like, CNC machines aren't woodworking. You just push a button and walk away, blah, 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 blah. Even though everybody that's ever used or owned a CNC machine knows that there's a lot more that goes into it than that. However, I don't think I've ever heard anything like that when it comes to the Shaper Origin. And what I find so interesting about the Shaper Origin is that, yes, it is essentially a handheld CNC machine. However, you still have to steer it. So you are engaged in the act of using that, just like if you were to use a trim router. It just takes it gives you 100% accuracy, basically, right? But you still have to manipulate. You still have to work it. And so I'm actually finding I hated using my CNC machine. I hated it, which is why I sold it. Every time I went to it, I had to relearn it. The Origin, no, don't have to relearn it. I might do a test piece just to make sure I'm doing it right, but just messing around with it, it's so user-friendly. But to give you an example of what happened today and the other day is when I designed that thing for the drawer boxes. I was going to do dovetails, but I was really struggling to try to get the right measurements and the bit that I have. It was this big mess. So I said, you know what, let's do something different, because dovetails are dovetails, right? Unless I'm cutting them by hand, machine cut dovetails they're not that impressive, right? So, and they're all over everything. So I said, you know what, let's just do something different. Let's kind of go with like a through domino look. And I was like, oh, you know what I can do? I don't have to design this on the machine. I'll just go inside of my computer and get on Shaper Hub. And I went on, or Shaper Studio, excuse me. Went on Shaper Studio, typed everything in. I brought the piece of material that I had, so I knew the size. I brought in my calipers, which these are amazing.
Absolutely.
These are absolutely incredible.
It's amazing.
Everything is perfectly accurate because of it. And I just sat down and I was like, put a circle here, copy that, put it over here, put my spacing, X, Y. I want it from here to here. Boom, 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 done. I walked out into the shop. It was already on my system. I cut the thing. Perfect. I did that today. I was like, I need to figure out a drawer pull. I was going to do, they make like a drawer pull bit now where you can like go across the top and it does that little channel. But I didn't want it to be, so close to the top. And I was only using 5/8 inch material for my drawer front. So I'm like, man, and I really don't want to wait for that bit to come in the mail. I was like, let's figure something else out. And somebody sent me a really cool, Rick Bino, actually. He sent me this really cool, like a wide, very modern, but wooden pole that I could have cut on the Shaper Origin. I'm like, I really like that. However, I'm trying to avoid anything that protrudes out too far, more than 1/8 of an inch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have that problem.
Yeah. Yeah. And so then I remembered that Mike Coffey one time posted about this recessed cable management thing that he did. And I was like, I really liked the way that looked and that design. So I was like, I went online, I typed in like recessed drawer pull and it came up with a picture of kind of what I did. And I was like, oh, wait, this would be really cool. And I designed it and Nicole was sitting next to me. And I was like, tell me what you think of this. She's like, I think it needs to be a little bit bigger because you can look at everything to scale. And then it was originally a circle. Then we went to an oval. And then we just adjusted like, oh, it's going to be 2.5 inches high, 2.75. It's all so quick. And we got this one. It was perfect. Walked out to my machine. There it is, ready to go.
Yep.
Place it on there, cut it. And it turned out perfect. Absolutely perfect.
That's cool.
That's
cool.
I'm in love with that thing. I am in love with that machine. It is really fun to use and it is incredibly accurate.
Isn't it? For me, you design it and you walk out in the shop and it's there.
Yeah, that's great.
And what I've done recently is I just bring my laptop out to the shop because I can think things through a little bit. That caliper has changed quite a bit. And this fall, I'm really concentrating on content on it because I can't believe it's been a year. I dropped those first two. So many people reached out to me and said, great videos. But I've gotten caught up in a bunch of other things, content creation. So I just wanted to add my 2 cents because I truly believe that reminds me of when the Domino came out. It's a total game changer.
Yeah.
It is one of my favorite tools in the last 15 years.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
It is. And every time I think, oh, I'll make a template, I go, what the frick am I doing making a template? I could do it right there on the machine.
Yeah. It's,
I
just don't, again, so many things work so seamlessly together on that machine. I do not understand how they make it. Like, I don't, who thought of that? Who thought of like the trace where I could snap a picture and it makes a SVG file
cool?
and like calipers that like what's the width of my piece? Oh, here it is. Hit the yellow button. Boom. There it is in my machine.
Oh, divide by 2 on the machine.
Divide by 2. Bam. Now it's centered. Like,
hello.
Yeah. Yeah.
And guess what? When I was snapping grids, because I want to do a whole video on snapping grids, and I was measuring with in metric, and I was off just a hair, and I realized, oh, it's my eyes. Now those calipers, I'm in metric, I just do it.
Yeah.
And maybe it's not exactly 12, it's 12.24. Divide by 2, center line.
Yep. You can do all of the math on the machine.
Amazing. It takes your eyes out of it. It is dead nuts on. And when I got calipers, I was like, okay. And I always look at things from an old guy with new tricks, right? And I'm like, Jason, I told my guys at Shaper, I go, this is badass, dude. That caliper changes a lot of things. It really does. And I know I have trace, and then they have now the mortising attachment, which everybody was making something, but now it's a mortising attachment. The plate, hello?
Yeah.
Once you get into plate, it's awesome. I love the workstation. I was making my own workstation. I had instead of going and getting tape every time, I realized, oh, I just put it in front of me, and it doesn't matter if I'm working with 3/4. So there's a lot to it. I just think the world of that whole system. And
Yeah.
mine's always ready to go in my shop.
Yeah,
So
that's good.
It's going to be
It's
easy to
amazing.
make. It's going to be
I
easy
definitely-
to make content about it.
Yeah. Mike,
I'll
when I saw
definitely-
Mike Coffey at the build off 2 years ago, all of us were there. And he said, got it. And he went right and he made the templates with the shaper. He designed it right there. I was like, on a tablet right there. I was like, okay, I get it. And then we had every build off we have in Lebanon, we have Jake and Russ with us now. And boy, Ronnie, tell me last year those boys weren't whooped. They I've never seen them that fatigued.
Yeah, those last two events is what really sent me over the top and made me really realize what that machine is capable of. And we did those big dovetails on that coffee table that were like,
Yep.
2 inches thick and 4 inches wide. I didn't know it was capable of doing that, and it blew my mind. That's where the workstation came in, and I was like, this machine is just so much more. When I first saw it, when it was like in Kickstarter phase, when I first saw it, I remember thinking, well, maybe somebody who does inlay floors could do little on-site logo engraving. And that's about as far as I thought it could go. I was like, I didn't even see it as really like a cutting out machine. I saw it as an engraver. That's what I kind of saw it as. I was like, well, my machine could do that, whatever. And I was just like out of my head, and it took a long time to start seeing, oh, it can do that. Oh, well.
And the thing is they had to learn. They were engineers. MIT Robotics. 2 guys met there, and that's who invented it.
That's neat.
And then, but they're not marketers. They had to bring in all that personnel for marketing to get people to understand it's so much more than doing inlay on flooring.
Yeah. And that's been my process of seeing that.
And they have taken such huge strides in getting people to understand. It's amazing. It's such a great company. They're such great people. Oh, I've met so many wonderful people who work there. And I remember it was just a handful when they started.
Yeah, I got to go to their facility when I was in Germany. Got to see it, and it was really cool. It's not a huge place. It's really cool.
The real facility is in San Francisco because that's where it all started.
Oh yeah, I got to see their German facility.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
They keep inviting me up, and hey guys, it's about time. It's about finding time. There's so many other things that I gotta accomplish here, and just so I'm always got that in the back of my mind to get out there and visit and hang out with everybody. I have my friend. There's 2 people running Shaper now. The original was Joe Herbstreit. He's still there. He runs part of it, and the other person who runs it is a good friend of mine. His name's Philip Glaza. And I remember when he came over as an intern from Germany, barely spoke any English, but he was with us for a year. And he's one of the best foosball players ever. He's my teammate, and we used to kick butt. So if you listen in Philip quotations, Rusty, you're doing a great job, pal. He's steering the ship with Joe just right now. So I thought I'd add all that, a little bit of
no, it's awesome
stuff about that. So what else you been up to, Jason?
I mean, besides just obsessing about that machine and like trying to figure out how I'm going to use it, I've just been working on this nightstand, which it's looking like I'm going to finish it up this week, which is nice. Cool. Matter of fact, if I do finish up this week, I'm going to try to bring it up and drop it off to Rick at Festool this week. So before I go out of town. But yeah, that's it. Golfing. Been hitting the golf course quite a bit, which is nice. It's nice to be able to go there during the day and while the kids are at school and get some practice in or play a little bit. So that's been good. I'm really falling in love with that whole side of things again. But yeah, that's about it. Hanging out with the family, kids, going crazy, wild, all that good stuff. Sedge, you go next. because I know what Ronnie's going to talk about tonight, and I am very interested in hearing about it.
And I watched it.
Yes.
I watched it live.
I
was
saw it
freaking
afterwards. I saw it afterwards.
awesome. What have I been up to? Well, I just want to mention something that happened last week. Ronnie, you sent me a message on it. And boy, so many people sent me a message on it because they know I knew him. Roger Cook passed of This Old House, if people don't know. And I just want to say that he was an amazing man. What a wonderful, wonderful guy. He was the landscaper on This Old House. And what a fun, loving guy. He's just a nice guy. And his wife, Alicia, wonderful people. But it's just sorry to see that he passed. So I just want to give my condolences to the family and stuff. And I know it's a sad day in Boston, in New England, because of Roger's gone. So what a great guy. So I just want to say that, not to be a
hated to
downer
hear
or
that.
anything.
No,
The other thing I've been up to is just been working in the shop. I'm getting ready. I think maybe you saw I did a little bit of content on Sis AZ drawer banks because of my wall in my shop, and I did it, and I built the same height cabinets. I did it because I was showing adjustable levelers, and I was working on a design for a Capex station. But this weekend, I started the process of designing a new Capex station because I'm going to do some really cool things with it. I don't need storage for more sustainers. I'm going to take those boxes I already made and put them over by my lumber rack. So I have that storage for the sustainers that I have and continue to acquire. So that has been a big thing. I'm going back and forth on design, but I'm going to do a whole bank of drawers underneath. I'm still going to keep the Capex stand. Capex is on. It's the right height for me. I still want to use the extensions, but I want to make them deeper, like a true base cabinet, and do a boatload of really a lot of drawers for my hand tools. And I want to, because I have so many, and I hate saying that, I've pared away a lot over the last 4 or 5 years, giving them to a lot of different people. But there's some things that I open up a drawer and I got 10 different dividers. Well, I want a drawer for dividers. I want a drawer for all my, and I've done a lot of that with Kaizen foam, but I want to kick it up another notch. So that's in the back of my head. I want to do that. And I want to show people how to waterfall grain and all kinds of things. So it's a lot, and it's a lot of content that I can create off of this. Yes.
You mentioned hand tools. I have to mention this because you'll be very proud. I used a chisel.
No.
Hold on. And a hand plane today.
No way.
If you don't believe the hand plane, just watch my stories later. I'm sorry. That's one of the things I've been up to that I totally forgot to mention.
Wow.
You'll have to make sure you look at it later.
Wow.
And make sure you're sitting down because you may pass out.
It's just good getting in the shop. I got a lot done around the house that I needed to get done, organizing again, but reanalyzing some of the work I have in my shop. And what made me really think about this, I just dropped the video, shameless plug, top 5 hand tools that I recommend in the shop. And on YouTube, and I just did it. And I'm going to tell you about somebody who really honors his craft. I've bragged about him about 1,000 times on this podcast, but I'm going to do it again because people are really seeing how much better he gets. And that's Chris, my business partner in Sedge Tool. We took about 30 different angles of what I thought and he thought was really a good photo for the thumbnail. And he sent it to me, and I just went, Chris, I just don't know. And we were up on ladders taking this, okay, trying to get all the hand tools in there. And then all of a sudden he goes, Sedge, can I do a little experiment? And I did. And that's the thumbnail. You guys see that? Are you looking it up?
I'm looking it up right now.
So if you look at that thumbnail, he pulled that off of the video. Okay.
Oh, isn't that
And
funny
I
how
get,
that works sometimes.
and you want to know something? It just worked. And what I really like about it is people have been commenting and saying, wow, did you guys get new cameras? And I go, yeah, we're shooting it with an Osmo 3 from DJI. And Chris, his editing is getting better and better and better. You know what's really great about it is we've had several comments over the last 3 or 4 videos saying, wow, you guys really upped your game. And
It looks good. I like that.
and it's
Yeah.
Chris who is really getting better and better and better, and he's honoring his craft. He's such a strong business partner. I really am blessed to have him.
Looks like it's doing pretty well too. One
not-
day into
not-
it.
Not bad. I'm pretty happy with it. The one we dropped the week before, the guys at Correx loved it.
Oh, on the nailer.
I was on the phone Friday night with Lee, my buddy, and he was like, hey, they loved it. They're freaking out. And that did well. So, and you know what? I think somebody commented on that one. Hey, did you guys get a new camera? So that's what we've been up to. I spent the weekend. Marianne and I had just such a chill weekend. I got a lot of rest. Okay, so I'm going to bring something up. This is kind of off topic. Hey, you guys have like a really old movie that's not, and you start quoting with your brother-in-law, just stuff. Hey, remember this in the movie? Remember this in the movie? So I don't think you guys were born yet, but have you ever seen this movie? He actually sent it to me, a DVD. I had to go find a DVD player.
Yeah, they used to run that on reruns when like cable first came out. Like they would run that like all the time.
Okay. Have you seen this, Jason?
I have not.
Okay. It was made in 1979. Okay. And it is so politically incorrect how they got away with that with some of the stuff they said, but there's so much hysterical stuff. So I just wonder, it's The Jerk with Steve Martin. And it's so daggone funny. And you know what's really weird? They were serving Tab. You remember Tab, the soda?
Yes.
Ronnie? Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
Before it was a Coca-Cola product before Diet Coke. And he goes, I'll take a Tab and Twinkies. It's just, oh my God. You really, and so I'm watching it again from a different perspective, and I'm still busted my ass on it. It's so funny. I've only gotten about
I was too
a quarter through, and I'm still like, oh my God, this is funny.
I was too
player.
I was too young to watch it like when it came out, but then I remember seeing whenever it was on the listing thing, like The Jerk, it would make you when you're a kid, you're like, oh, bad word. And you're like, what's that? And that's why I remember it, because it would say that on the listing, The Jerk. And I was like, oh, what's that? Bad word.
So I have a highlight. Yeah, I'm back into making cabinets, and I'm gonna phase that into building them. I just love building cabinets, but I'm gonna phase that in to the Capex miter saw stand, and a lot of drawers and a lot of veneer and stuff like that. But I had the pleasure to get a notification that someone was going live this weekend.
My first live.
Oh my God, Ronnie.
Ever?
Oh,
Yes.
Holy
okay.
cow.
So I watched that. Okay, now I watched it afterwards. Okay, because it cut me off somewhere. I forget. Now I got to tell you this. It's your first live. Okay, nothing goes right. I don't want to say I'm the master of live, but every Friday, baby, and I got episode 191 coming up. Okay, I love live. You know why? Because I'm going to make a mistake. And that I was busted it. And I thought, and also Cam going underneath. Okay, I was like, oh, please tell me it ain't going to drop on him. And then the freaking sparks, that was pure 100% entertainment.
You know, it was funny. he just got tired of trying to find the right bit. So he's like, give me the grinder. Just went under there, cut the bolts out from there, just cut them right through the wood. And it was getting smoky in the shop because he used a metal cutting blade on wood to cut the screws. So funny.
Okay, so
we felt the pressure.
I'm not picking it apart, but I gotta this is the perfect segue. What have you been up to, Ronnie Fulton?
So that's what I was up to. We really had a goal to do it Sunday. Cameron did a great job of he's been talking to a group of his friends for like about probably 2 or 3 weeks and making sure they're all like keyed up. And it's kind of hard because with school starting back, they all have little jobs that they all go to, and Sunday was the day that they all agreed they could do it. And he had 6 lined up, which was that was 8 with us, which is plenty. And I'm glad we had that many because, well, first off, I knew we needed to get the form on the ground where it was bolted to the floor. It was actually Tapcon into the floor because it can't move while you're building it. And then the boat, the frames are screwed into the form as well. We thought we had gotten them all. We thought before we started the live, we did think that far ahead, but we had to pick it up 3 different times. And every time there was something holding it. One time I didn't even know it, picked up the boat and the form off the ground all together. I didn't even know it till I watched it afterwards. I thought that I didn't even know what I was seeing because I didn't look down and see it. So I didn't see it till like 2 hours after I actually went through and watched it. And it's funny, the things you don't realize that happens in life when you're there. And when you get to watch it, you're like, I didn't even know that happened.
Mm-hmm.
It's really interesting. They were all really super nervous. I had to talk to them before, and I was like, not about they didn't care about it being live or whatever. They were just nervous they were going to drop it. And I was like, you are, you're going to be fine, but it did get tricky.
But don't drop it, because if you do, I'll kill you.
Yeah, but don't drop it. We turned it on its side, and I realized we had like 5 people on the left side and only Cameron and his friend on the other. And I'm like, wait a minute. Go ahead.
And he was in the way of
yeah.
And it's like, it's not gonna work.
Yeah, so I start looking at, they're all holding the skeg, the little fin in the middle that I told you about, which is epoxied on and has 4 bronze screws. I mean, it's really sturdy, but I'm not sure, can it hold the whole weight of the boat? Because they were all holding it by the skeg, and I'm looking down and not paying attention that Cameron's over there with just 2 on the other side. But it worked out because someone pulled the form out, and it was much bigger than I remember. The form is huge.
I saw that.
It's wider. It's like it's the width of the boat.
It's freaking long.
Yeah, it's the whole length of the boat. It's actually longer than the boat by about 6 inches because the bottom of it went at a taper on the floor. But I didn't remember it being that wide.
They kept pulling it and pulling it.
Yes.
I was like, is there enough room? It's like a clown car. It kept going and going.
And it actually says in the plans that if you can, to flip the boat with the form still attached to it. And I highly disagree with that because the form is screwed into the frames, the upper 1 inch of the mahogany frames. And I just think that's going to put a lot of stress. And there's such a high chance of it breaking the frames when it's only attached in 4 places across the top. I just didn't like the idea of that. Most people don't do that. I've never seen anyone online that built it or the forum that have flipped it with it. It's still attached. But it does say the original designer said, if you can flip it with it still attached to it. So after we pulled that out, we got it flipped around. I mean, it went pretty easy. It even set down. I had marked with the little 3M tape I have for striping. I had marked corner references when I built the the cradle. I built it on the boat, and I marked it so we could have it as a reference line. And we looked down there, and it was sitting on the reference lines. Didn't even have to adjust it. It was there. I mean, it was like that. I thought that was going to be hard, and it wasn't. It wasn't at all. And I kind of skipped over. We also had to build the cradle, and that was a project within itself. It has to be scribed to the boat, and it has to be scribed so when it sits down, it sits perfectly level. So when you flip the boat over, the boat's going to sit the way that it will in the water. So that was a mini project in itself. $60 worth of 2x6s. It's going to be burned. I did burn the form yesterday, by the way, and I did get the video of it.
Yes.
I took the sawzall, it was in my way, and I just cut it up into pieces and took it straight out there and burned it. And Cameron's like, wow, you weren't attached to that in any way. I was like, it was taking up our whole aisle, like where I'm sitting right now. I was like, I had to get that out. So I just took it apart in 3-foot sections and took it out to the burn pile.
Wow.
So that was a project too, doing that. But to get it flipped over and to see it was one of the coolest things yet. it was the best part about the boat build yet. I think the first one was getting the frames all connected together, like where it started looking like it, and getting it flipped over and seeing it was amazing.
I'll tell you what I like, Ronnie, because and people, if you're not, who are watching the video, I'm looking behind Ronnie. He's got the boat on the cradle, and I'm going to tell you what, just looking at the line of it and how it's fared, boy, is that gorgeous! And I really,
Yeah, it looks
like
really
that.
nice.
I like that blue color.
Thanks. The water line should be right where the red. So
Yep.
you're gonna see that should be where it is. And it also is a true water line. I didn't follow that line up.
Yeah.
And another cool little point that no one would ever know is the red line right here. No one would ever know unless you build a boat, is what I'm saying. The red line actually gets wider starting right here. It gets wider, and it has to, or it's going to look thinner because the boat starts curving down. So the boat, for the line to appear the same width, it actually grows in width as it goes to the front of the bow.
Oh,
It's pretty cool. That's
Is
not
that
something I
called-
would have ever known.
is that called the chine?
Yes, the
Yeah,
chine
that's what
log.
The chine.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm trying to remember my boat building experiences.
Yeah, you'll see boats sometimes when people build them and they'll curve up like a smiley face right here.
Yep.
People just follow that. And when it's in the water, you see that line sticking out. It just comes up at an angle. So I
Yeah.
really wanted that to be true. Wanted that to be true. So it's good to get this phase. And now there's all kinds of things we get to do. We got to finish the top, like do the structure on the top, like the bow and in the back, so that we can then we have to cut the bronze screws that went through on the there's a part where they're just sticking slightly through. We got to cut all of those off and then encapsulate it in epoxy, like do the fillets all the way around where it's, we got to do all of that. And then we can start doing the wiring, some of the electronics and things like that before we do the top part. But it's far along right now. It's really far along.
Are you guys doing the boat engine yourselves?
It's going to be an outboard. So we are going to do it ourselves at this point. It's like 260 pounds, and with the tractor or even with an engine hoist, it shouldn't be a problem to just put it in place.
What size motor?
A 60 horsepower. 75 goes up dramatically in size. So I'm sticking with it's 60 or 65. I looked at a Mercury. It's either a 60 or 65. The guy at the boat place told me the difference in a 65 and a 75 would be like 1 mile per hour top end. So it's like not worth it to go to that. So that's
what brand?
Mercury.
You got a Mercury?
That's what I've looked at so far. A black. I want to do black. Some people do white. I want to do black because it's kind of.
Yeah, baby. That'll look good on that blue.
Yeah, just kind of blended in. So that's where we are with that. I had planned originally for them to do the motor, but now I've realized that the steering cable and all of that, I have to do that like soon. And that's a lot of the work. Really, I'd be paying them to basically bolt 4 bolts in the back of the boat, and then tie it into I'm going to be doing most of the work anyway. So I'm not going to use them like I'd planned on. We can do it.
So here's a question. You had mentioned that you're going to basically have to cut out a section of your wall to get this thing out. At what point are you going to actually put it on the trailer?
Late.
How are you going to get it off of that with all that weight and then set it down on the trailer?
It won't be hard because I can spin it around and face it to the front, and I can use the boat trailer winch.
Yeah, he'll winch it right onto the trailer.
Yeah. It won't be bad.
Yeah.
It won't be bad. That'll be
Interesting.
we've got the hard part over with now. Yeah. It should be the carpeted bunk should be able to just slide right over. I can pull this actually out a little bit even, and I can pull this right up to the trailer and it'll pull it right on. So I'll have to decide whether I want to put the motor on before I put it on the trailer or not. I'll figure that out. But I've got to start ordering things like a gas tank. Got to find a spot for that. And so I'm going to do like a 12 to 15 gallon. The big things, it's like a shop. The big things you've got to get those spots first and then put other things around it. It's gonna have a starting battery and a deep cell battery. I learned that I used to have a boat. You don't want to have just one battery. That starter
You gotta
will go dead
you
on
gotta
you
get the
real
right
quick.
size cooler position on there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Extra
everything's important.
insulation for all
It's
the beer.
Bait live well, bait box.
yeah. There's so many things. It, it's uh it's going to be a lot of research. I'm back to the research phase where I have
It's
to
so
look like at
cool.
night, and
It's
then
so cool though.
it'll
Look
be
at
cool
that.
though.
Look at that. It is a beautiful hull. It
Cool.
really is.
What style boat is that, Ronnie?
Some people call it Chris Craft. It's like a 50s runabout.
Yep.
That's what they would say. Like some people call it like a ski wood runabout.
It's one that floats on water.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
What kind of boat is that? It's a floating boat.
floating when
You don't want the
Oh, I see.
sinking boats.
yeah. I'm looking forward to doing that mahogany and holly stripes on the bow. I cannot wait to do that. That's gonna be so fun.
Oh
Man, these
God,
look
that is
cool.
gorgeous.
It all of that, the components have to be done before you can get to that step. So it's kind of like you're kind of getting near the phase of ending when you're doing all the bow and the stripes on the top. That's when you're getting close to the end. But I'm looking forward to doing that, and it's good timing. I don't really regret that we waited. We had like some pretty long segments. We didn't work on it during the summer, but Cameron said today himself he's kind of glad that we're going into fall and winter with this to work on, and we don't have to feel as rushed, you know, like we would if we were trying to get it ready for this season. That would have been
Yep.
a lot.
Yeah,
So
you
we're
don't want to
glad we're
do that.
yeah. Yeah. So
Dude,
we're getting there. Go ahead.
There's nothing better. I'll never forget when I caught my first fish. I was with my papa up in northern Maine, and we were in a boat. And on every pond, he had a boat that was docked somewhere in the reeds or wherever. And I go, Papa, did you make this one? He goes, Yep. Make these
That's
little
cool.
John boats. There was nothing better, man.
That's
And
so
back
cool.
then, you couldn't afford anything. You couldn't afford to go buy a boat. He would just build them.
Yeah,
Whether it
that's
was a
awesome.
canoe or a little John boat, and we'd row out middle of the pond. And I remember, and I got a picture back here of my first fish with him. Pretty awesome.
That's cool.
Oh, check it out. Check it out. I caught, I think, 3 or 4. Look, I had hair. I promise.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm
Isn't that
sure every
great?
time he built a boat, he learned something too. It's like
Oh, swear. I
every
got
time he
pictures
learned
of,
like how you do it differently next time.
I think I was 7 or 8. Oh, wait a minute. I'll tell you exactly. No, I wasn't. Oh, yeah, I was. Let me do the math. I was 8. It says in the back, my dad put it on here, 1971.
That's cool.
I was 8 years old.
Very cool.
God, I had hair. Look at that mullet. Can you guys see that mullet? Look at that.
You should totally grow it back out like that.
No.
Bring the
Yeah.
mullet back. Make the mullet great again.
No way, dude.
Make the mullet great again.
No, make the mullet great again. Oh God.
Oh, that's
Ronnie, that was I gotta I'm applauding you. That was a great live. Your mic
Well,
wasn't
thanks.
working.
Oh, I know.
And Cameron was fantastic. It was great.
You know what I did? I made a big mistake. I had the DJI mic, and I just
Yeah.
bought the DJI 2 mic, and I haven't really even used it that much. And so something's going on with it. I need to see what was going on with it. But the other one's so flawless, I'd never have had issue with it. So I don't even know yet what my setting is.
And it doesn't matter. It was live. There's hiccups in live. And it was so I loved it. It was so entertaining. And that's the beauty of live. It really is, because it's I think people are waiting when those sparks started flying out and he went, oh geez. I was peeing myself. I was laughing and I was praying. I could just see that boat going and his feet sticking out like the witch in Wizard of Oz when the house dropped on her,
It was funny because Cameron was feeling the pressure. His friends are all standing there. We can't get it off in the thing. So he was feeling it, knowing it was live. And it was just, there was a lot of pressure there. But it was fun. And then I took them all out to lunch at Country Boy afterwards.
I figured.
three of them worked there. So
What?
Oh,
three of
wow.
them worked there. Yeah. Yeah.
I
Three of
figured you
them.
were gonna all take them all out.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll tell you, that was cheap. That was $160 with
Yeah.
tip because they all
Yeah.
are under 21. There's no, don't have to buy their beer or anything. That was when it would go
Ah,
up
smart.
like crazy. But that was cheap. Paid $160 to have the boat flipped. I mean, that's pretty cheap. And it took longer. I had planned on buying their lunch and I thought I'm gonna do this and they're gonna be like have 5 minutes in it. They were here for a little over an hour. It was a process, so it was very worth it to do that, and it was a cool thing. And that Cameron just got his company card because he's co-oping with me now. That was the first time that he was able to pull out his company card and buy it for. That was kind of cool.
No, really?
Yeah, it was kind of neat.
That was
Yeah.
cool. Hey, and the other thing I wanted to mention about it is when you watch something like that, what went through my head. Oh God, I wish I was there.
It was,
I wish I could have gone. I wish I could have been there because that looked like a ton of fun too.
it was fun. I was nervous. I wouldn't back to that thing about when you build more, but I wouldn't be nervous now, but I was nervous for that one. And a couple of them were like said, well, that wasn't bad at all. Cameron said that wasn't near as bad as I thought it was going to be. I have seen that on the forum so many times. People have said, I stressed and stressed about the boat flip, but it really was pretty easy as long as you have enough manpower. Because that hardest part is when you stand it up. I didn't want it to sit on its side. I had those gymnastic pad things, those
Yep.
that interlock together. I had those just in case. But I told him, I was like, if you can, don't even let it sit on its side because that's putting a lot of pressure on the side. And so we had enough people to hold the weight of that. But flipping that around once it stood up, that was a little hairy. That was, yeah.
I said,
So
please don't scratch it. Please don't scratch it. Please don't scratch it. Hey, you know what? I'm just thinking out of the box. Did you have your camera? You shot that with your phone, right?
No, that was Osmo. No,
That was
Osmo. That was phone. No, I had
that was phone because you were live, right, on
yes.
IG.
Yeah, that was phone. That was the first time I'd hooked the two up to the phone. Before I had it Bluetooth to my Osmo, and I had to I had to unlink it, and so something was going on there.
It almost seems like we should do something really quick at the con. Do a quick live.
Yeah, one of the reasons why I don't think I've ever done a live is because I didn't trust my bandwidth, but now I have high-speed internet at the shop, and I didn't even realize until recently. I was like, I can do lives now. There's so many things you can do once you have a high-speed internet that you can't do safely when, without having issues. So that's something we probably do more. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. For people who want to know more, I have done an amazing job of videoing this thing. YouTube format, I've got the video. I'm just going to have to put it together, but I do have it. I've been keeping, we had one, two, three, four. We had 5 cameras that filmed the flip.
Wow.
I had 2 of my older GoPros. I had my Osmo set up. I had my Sony EV 2 I had that one. I had them all set up. And we've done that through the entire boat build. I've gotten now. Usually, I'm not doing 5 cameras set up, but I didn't know which angle to get that at. But I have them all. So I probably will have to wait till like fall, winter to work on it. I just can't right now. But I'm glad I've been getting all the footage. We've got it.
Ooh, man,
It's
I
gonna
can't
be a lot
wait
of
to see
editing,
put that. Oh my God, put that all together.
Right now, I'm leaning towards making it very brief. And I could always go back and do more detail, but I'm just going to be like, show the different processes to where it is not overwhelming. And that's going to also allow me to put something out. And if someone wants more detail, I could always go back and have a more detail. That's where I'm leaning right now.
I know what you're going to say, Jason.
I have an idea for you, Ronnie.
What's that?
You make a really, 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 really detailed video, very long. And then you offer that for the people that want a detailed video and have them pay for it, because the audience that's going to buy that, then it makes it worth your time to do all that. Then take that video and just chop it down and make, yep.
Yeah,
and then say,
that's a good idea.
If you want a much more detailed explanation, hours of footage of how I built this, go to my website and offer it for sale.
Idea. That's a good idea. That's a good idea. Really good idea.
And compilations, people eat up compilations.
Yeah.
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 We've
I feel like
Chris has done 2 so far, and they've done fantastic.
I've analyzed it so many ways, and I finally realized it's like to put something out that's kind of short and sweet. And I think of it almost as like what you would see on a TV build. You know, it's like you're seeing the highlights, you're seeing what happened. People that aren't even going to build a boat would be interested in watching it. I want to do that level first and make it watchable. And that's getting a lot of footage, you know, but I think that'd be the first step to do that. And get that out first. But I have done a great job of documenting it. I've done that much. I just haven't done anything beyond that. That's where I've sucked.
Hey, you said
It's time.
But
you did your Instagram live on a Osmo?
No.
no,
Okay.
you can do it on Osmo, but I just use my phone. No, I use my phone, and it's funny. I'd already used my tripods, so I just last minute grabbed a Douglas fir 4x4 and stuck it up on top of the table and put a little holder, and it worked amazing. I took Cameron. This is one of those temporary tripods you do that you end up using for years and years. It's a 2-foot 4x4, and it's got enough heft that it holds it really nicely. You can adjust it and swivel it back and forth. I'm like, it was a really handy little tripod that I made out of just scrap wood. So that was cool.
Nice.
Fun stuff.
So do you think you're going to be done with this boat by spring of next year?
Yes, I do.
So it'll make its maiden voyage then?
I do. When he came today after school, it was the first time he was able to look at it, because you think about when he flipped it over, he was with all of his friends and he was like, okay, guys, let's go on and go to lunch. And then he had a whole day of rope swing, and then he came back to the pool, and then he did had to go everywhere, did everything he does. He didn't get to see it till today, till he came, you know, he gets out half days to co-op with me. So I knew he was going to want some time to look at it, because he never really got to look at it yesterday. But we talked about the timing a little bit. And that's when he said that he's glad that we didn't work on it too much in the summer, or we weren't stressed about getting it done before, you know, it cooled off. And we've got more time with it now that we can take our time. And this is where the fun part happens. And we can make it as nice as you want, or we could technically just put 1/4-inch marine ply on the top, put a little dash on there, and it could be just close to done. Put some floorboards on there, and it's a boat, you know. But of course, we're not doing that, and that's why it kind of makes it fun. We're going to be going off plan soon. Once we put the bow, the bow like ribbing in the side and the back, the motor wheel. Once we do that, we're off plans. We're not no longer doing anything from the plans. It's however we want to do it, and I look forward to that, because I'm not a big plan person, and that's killed me on this, to not be able to do my own type of what I want to do, you know.
But you can
safety,
now use your woodworking skills and make it
Exactly.
even more high end.
Exactly. Not all straight lines. I can do more curves, and that's where you
Yes.
can tell home build from.
Easy now.
a more
Patrick's going to get excited.
I do
You
want to
can
do a
make
lot-
it. You can make it bespoke.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. I am looking forward to introducing some curves that will probably be a challenge, you know, in certain places. Like that's going to be fun to do that kind of thing. It'll be fun. So plenty more.
I know that you don't do as much on the furniture side of things anymore these days. I mean, that's accurate to say, right? You're doing more
Yes.
the stuff for your business. Do you think, is there ever times, I'm segueing into a topic I wanted to discuss with you guys tonight. Do you ever feel like there's times where you miss that kind of stuff?
Oh, for sure. And I think this brought back those feelings. That top part is
exactly what
to
I was
me.
looking for.
Yeah. I mean, and the sad fact is that I don't do a lot of furniture because it's so hard to make decent money at it. When you're doing one-offs, the time involved in doing pieces like that, unless you're charging an astronomical fee. Okay, let me say it again. You can, but there's other products I found that have more predictable income that I can get done a lot quicker. And when I'm not doing it all for fun, and I'm doing it as a business, I have to focus on those products sometimes. And the woodworking part needs to stay fun for me. Also, I think building furniture, like high-end furniture, when you're doing it for a client, some of the fun is out of it. I realized that very quickly when you're doing it for a client, because there's not always things that you would do yourself. They ask for it and you don't even like it. You don't like the color of it. You don't like it. And that really hurts
you gotta
my
suck it up.
creativity. Yes. Yeah. So and so I've gotten away from that. And it's to the point of that, like the boat is something, it's one of the very few things that I've built in this part of my shop that I've had for, 5-6 years that I haven't been building for a client. And that's been fun to build something on my own.
So the
It's
reason,
funny.
well, the reason I asked is because today I had this epiphany. I've actually felt over the past 6 months or so, I've almost felt like I was kind of falling out of love with woodworking. And I know why. The reason was because literally everything I've been doing is cabinetry. It's cabinetry focused, it's cabinetry related, it's cabinetry instruction, it's house renovation, which is all cabinetry related typically. And I decided to take on this nightstand. And this nightstand is not a difficult build by any means. However, I have enjoyed building a piece of furniture again, so much so that like I just want to build like 2 to 4 more things like right after this and just have fun building pieces of furniture. You know why? Because when it comes to the cabinetry side of things, I don't feel like I run into a lot of situations now that make me really have to think, right? I don't, it's like I'm using these drawer slides. I know exactly how to install these drawer slides. I'm using these hinges. I know exactly how to do that. I need to make a door. I know exactly how to do that. Like it's the same thing over and over and over again. And with this project, initially I said I wasn't going to film any of it because I just wanted to get out and build something. And then Rick kind of talked me into it because that was my original pitch to them. I was like, hey, I can make a YouTube video about it. Well, his daughter got excited about that. So I was like, okay, I will film it. But if I'm going to film it, I need to have interesting things in there that make it worth watching and not just a typical woodworking video. So yes, I went over the top. I used all these crazy expensive tools, but I had the experience again of like trying to work through in my head, how am I going to do this? What's the best way to go about doing this? What order should I do these things in order to make sure that all of this stuff lines up? What's the best way to cut this? Like, and it's made me fall in love with woodworking again. And a lot of this has to do with that damn Shaper Origin. You guys know how excited I am about it, but it's allowed me to do these things that I haven't done before, or do these things that would have been a lot harder to do without it. And it's really, really made me reinvigorated for furniture because I love doing cabinetry stuff, but man, it's the same crap over and over again. It's building a box, putting a door on it or a drawer, and putting hardware in.
Yeah.
That's it. Right? Like, yes, there are, if you're doing intricate like corner cabinets that have crazy layouts and all kinds of stuff, yes. But for none of the stuff that I'm doing right now, like it's not, here's your opening. This is how many cabinets I want. Build it, So like, I just wondered if anybody else ever gets to that point where you're like, yeah, this is just another business and I'm just doing this stuff. And then you do this project. Like I can imagine a boat. That's a dream of mine. I would love to build a boat. And you've always talked about it so energetically
It's
that I'm
fun.
like, I wonder if he like misses this side of things, misses
yes.
the woodworking side.
Yeah, for sure. I think, I think it's very important, and it's amazing. You think about people like, I'd love to be a woodworker and do it for me, leave my corporate job and go do it. That people don't realize there's a very slippery slope that you go down that you can make it to where you don't like woodworking if you're not careful. And sometimes people are like, why do you call yourself full-time woodworker? You tell me you don't even, a lot of your stuff, you don't even do woodworking. I'm protecting my hobby. I learned very quickly that if I did nothing but woodworking, I would quickly not like it. I learned that very quickly. Like I learned it the hard way the first few years. And that's when I backed off from doing that nonstop for sure. It's almost like I keep that for myself, people we know, close friends, people I already have as contacts, but it's like, I'm not trying to create a, IKEA.
Right.
I got one, and this is an observation over the last year. I am very passionate about woodworking. I'm very passionate about teaching people. When I had end user classes, we built cabinets, farm tables, bookcases, everything. And I like to inspire people to build stuff. And that's what kept me going at Festool for all these years. Now I'm going to bring it something that I noticed in the last year. I was building professionally, and I had a cabinet shop at Fort Lauderdale. I think everybody listening and you guys know, right? And there was something involved with that. It's called a client.
Hmm.
And you love building something. But when you have a client that is a royal pain, that they're paying well, but they're a pain. And I noticed something this year or last fall with you, Ronnie. Your whole being was rocked by that customer.
Oh, you're right.
Okay.
Oh, yeah,
And
good point.
and you do you remember? And I was like, oh, hang in there, Ronnie.
Yeah.
I was concerned because you are a great builder. What you do, you're a hell of a craftsman. I know you're doing screens, but you take extreme pride in something.
But
And there's
sometimes kind of shoddy.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, that's bullshit. And I will tell you, that rocks your core. And I've
It
been in a
does.
situation with not shoddy work, but people holding money on me in Fort Lauderdale. And when you do it for a living,
Mm.
it rocks you and it makes you question your passion.
Question your
Okay.
business.
So,
Question
and
everything.
Jason, I totally agree about what you were saying about, yeah, it seems like you were just going through the motions and questioning things. And I'm like, I was so excited to see you getting excited the other day when I was in your shop. What was it, 2 weeks ago? And you were showing us the shaper and look what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And we were out there and I was like, okay, it looks like the fire's lighting a little bit again.
Oh, big time.
Okay. And you need that. You need that break. I mean, I think it was last year. I I built those boxes. They were beveled case goods, but I wrapped the veneer around, okay,
Mhm.
for my buddy Goo. And what I was really stoked about is seeing his face when I was there. And he said, Sedge, these are amazing. But what was cool is he was playing golf when he first saw the video with I think the police chief or fire chief at his country club in Lowell and going, look, Sedge is, and he goes, you freaking know Sedge? He goes, no, that's bullshit. You know Sedge? He goes, look, he's building my boxes. He goes, oh my God. He goes, I love that guy.
That's
But
awesome.
and seeing my buddy Goo, who he just knows me about cracking beers, and he was my buddy back in high school and even grammar school. And he's like, there's a video of my boxes, you know? So did that inspire me? Yes, because it touched him. And I got inspired again this year. You have to keep getting inspired. Woodworking is my life. It's my passion. I do it all the time. I've just been really blessed. I can do it even during my day job.
Yeah, that's cool.
Okay. So have I gotten burnt out? Not really. It's just it's trial, it's the journey you go through where I could guarantee, Jason, you can be a woodworker the rest of your life.
I hope so.
Oh no, I know so. It's just that you have to you have to get re-inspired. You're building it for somebody.
And it's normal to go
That's
through
so
ups and
daggone
downs.
appreciative.
There's no difference in woodworking and golf. You know, how people go through where they get really intense playing golf all the time and they back off for a while. Woodworking's the same way.
Uh-huh.
Well,
Sometimes you need a break.
that's the problem that I'm in now, because now that I'm playing a lot, it's starting to bother me more.
Well, you know what? I saw you said on your story the other day, you just played the worst you've ever played.
I played the worst I played this
Yeah.
year.
Yeah. I've known a lot of people that were like big time into golf. Like I still have never been like, I've casually played a little bit, but not anything. But I had a friend tell me once, he's like, you know, when golf sucks, he goes, when you pretty much know what you're going to shoot, like within a few shot, and then you go under that, he's like, it's just nothing that makes you more mad. And he's like, and then you get to a point where you cannot get any better. And he's like, that's when you hit a wall. And it's like,
Yeah.
he told me about it once, and he just like, it's almost what we're talking about with woodworking. It's no different. I mean, you've got to always be challenging yourself, but sometimes you can hit a wall with that too. And it makes you just,
Mhm.
you know, lose interest. But You can't just stay 100% on anything forever. You have to back off
Yes.
sometimes.
So
And you have to find a motivation somewhere. Ronnie, I'm going to tell you what you've done with Cam and brought him into the trades is
Yeah.
so awesome. That I so look forward to seeing what he accomplishes in life.
Me too. Me too. And that was another reasoning for the boat being brought up because he's so close to making his decision on what he wants to go. And I thought there's nothing more in like an intense project like this that goes over a year just to gauge his interest and see where he, that was another reason to kind of push this more forward in my life schedule than I probably would have, because it's not like we're not ridiculously busy. It's not like there's all kinds of things I need to do, but he's not getting any younger, and it's something I've always wanted to do. And it all made sense, but I've learned so much from this. It's forced me to learn more about hand tools and be interested in hand tools, because boats, I mean, they're perfect for hand tools. You can only do so much with power stuff with boats. It's faster to use hand tools in a lot of cases. And it's made me be interested. I'm interested for the first time, and it was just perfect timing that Sedge gave us the sharpening lessons. And because that's important too, because they work great like the first day, but you pretty much have to sharpen them every day when you're using them a lot. So that was handy.
And Jason used a chisel today and a hand
Chisels. Yeah, both of them.
I'm not gonna lie. Since getting those blue spruce chisels, I've used a couple of them multiple times throughout this project. I used a Japanese handsaw on this project. I used the hand plane today, and like to do what I needed to do today. It's not the only way. It was the best way to do it. It was the best way to do it. So I'll briefly explain. I basically cut a strip that would fit into a piece that I had already cut out, and I left it tall. And what I wanted to do was round over the top edge, so it was kind of like pillowed into the drawer front, the face. But I left it really, really proud, and I was like, okay, so I'm going to round over the corner. I'm going to see how high it sits. I took it, I flipped it upside down, put it in that slot, and then started planing away the back. And I would check it. I would turn it over. Need to take off a little bit more. And like it's an 8-inch long piece, 3/4 of an inch tall, 3/8 of an inch thick. You're not running that over a jointer, right? Like that's not. Could I have set up my router table and done an offset and like I could have, but that's stupid. Why not just grab the hand plane? And I got this thing dialed in perfectly, like exactly where I wanted it, because you can take such tiny little shavings off.
Final fit and finish.
I love it.
Yeah,
It's amazing.
I can't wait to do that on the 1/4-inch holly mahogany strips on the top. I've already know that I'm going to be using that blue spruce gentleman's saw to cut the angles after I mark them, like kind of by eye, and then turn around and cut those angles, with a handsaw. That's not something you're going to use a power saw to do.
Right.
At all.
Their dovetail saw is the best I've ever used.
Yeah, I can't wait to do that. That's gonna be fun. But they do have a place.
It was really cool because Jared Green, they originally File and Hammer, his saws were incorporated into blue spruce, and he reached out, and this is really cool because he's a patron. And it's really funny because he said, Sedge, I'm 3/4 away of the Gershner patron or the podcast. He goes, amazing. He goes, and he has some serious Gershner.
Oh, that's cool.
Does he really?
He sent some pictures. Holy Nike is he? Oh my God. And he's listening. So I don't, he'll show you pictures, I'm sure, at the meetup. And yeah, he is such a cool dude. Everybody there, Will, those guys are awesome. Jeff, George, just great people. So it was kind of neat because, yeah, he's a Gershner guy and he's always cruising. They sell kits, right, at Woodpeckers, but there's two types of kits. There's American kits and imported kits.
I think the international one's already built.
Oh, okay.
I believe the
Okay.
international ones are built, and the American ones are the kit. Yeah,
Yeah. He's
yeah,
he's actually building another one, I think. It's pretty cool. So
I'm
it was
going to be
cool. He was
building one
listening.
with Leo.
Are
yeah.
you?
That'd be a good
Mhm.
project.
We were just
That'd be
talking about it
cool.
the other day.
That'd be
Cool.
awesome.
Yeah, they make good stuff, man. It was great having her on, Kim. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a really fun episode.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Insightful. I learned a lot. The feedback on it was really good too. It seemed like the audience really liked it and found it interesting, especially Patrick. He was all geeking
Pat,
out over
who's Patrick?
it. He makes mouse pads.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Packwick.
Hey, Jason, you just said about you all building the thing together. I'm having some like really big like aha moments I didn't realize, but you don't realize how young, you know,
Oh my
this is,
God.
hey, Jason, look at the thing. This is when Cameron asked for a lathe, and I thought he's big enough. I'll get it
How
for
old is
him.
he?
Um, I'm not sure, but that's when he got his first lathe. And I sent this to him last night, and I thought, I remember thinking you were so big. And I was like, yeah, he can do that. He was like, that was pretty dumb, Dad. You're like, yeah, let me give this kid a sharp. But you know what? Kids are different. He took things so seriously. He was so careful. I knew he was okay. I knew he could do it. I was looking for some pictures, and I came across this one right here. He was painting at one of the houses we were renovating when he was, I mean, he's got rain boots on. That's how young he was. He's wearing rain boots. Look at the gallon, how big the gallon is compared to him.
Jeez.
Funny, but what my point is that you were talking about building stuff with your boy. It's amazing you don't realize how young your kids are at different stages. And that keeps going all the way until I'm sure they're 17. You're like, oh, they're so old. And you look back and you're like, oh, they were babies. But it's crazy how young he was, but how 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 capable kids are. You don't
Yes.
realize this is one of the oldest pictures I have. That's actually in my shop in the house. That's one of the only pictures I have of my basement shop. Cameron standing up on the outfeed table, tiny. He barely remembers that because it was about two or three-ish when I moved out. But I found those last night when I was looking for pictures and came across those, and it was just like wow. So definitely,
Leo has been asking more and more lately, like, Dad, I want to go out in the shop and let's go build something. And so I was actually talking with Kim the other day, and something brought it up because I was interested in doing one of the kits. And then I was like, wait a minute, this would be like the perfect thing to like do with Leo. We make him a
Mhm.
toolbox, and I could actually put a microphone on him, and I like
Yeah,
document it and then release that
right,
video and pitch it to be
right,
something like, the ultimate father son project, or something
yeah,
like that, right?
yeah,
Like dads would want to watch and see. And they like Leo builds his own toolbox that he will have for
yeah,
the rest of his life. I just think that would be so cool.
yeah. It would be cool.
That is one I'll watch and it'll go viral.
Yeah, that'd
Hope
be
That
so.
good.
is what
And
a great idea,
and
Jason.
I think depending on his interest level and things, if you have things pre-staged out where it matches his interest level, like that he stays into it, take as many breaks as you need to, kind of thing. Because the kids can't go like as long as, but in some cases you can have some things already pre-assembled. You're like, all we're gonna do today is bring these together and do this, but you've already did this other stuff on the back end.
Yes. Yeah.
That's
So
what
like
makes
I
it
was thinking about that. Like, okay, let's say there's 4 drawers. I could do 3 of them,
right,
and then
right,
we film him
right.
assembling one, and then we move on to the next thing, and we just get.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it'd be good
Yeah,
because I don't want it to be
yeah,
like a crazy long video, but it
Nope.
shows how to put one of these together.
yeah. Now,
I
that'd
think
be
it'd be
good.
really cool.
So the kits are the kit. Do they look like is it the Journeyman they called it? Is that what it looks like?
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
cool. That would be a neat project to do. I'm I would be interested in doing
Yes.
that too. That's neat.
Yeah, I'd be interested in doing one with Jason too. He could put a microphone on me.
You could
I would
He could
love
build
to.
he could
you could
build like I let him build all 4 drawers and I would
you know
put a little
said
stain on there.
you could have like a little baseball hat on sideways, and he could be like, "This is my son Sedge." And Sedge and I are gonna build up. People are like, "That's his son? What? Yeah, Sedge and I are gonna build something today."
So they have 4 kits on their website. One is the Just Right Box DIY kit. That's probably the one I'll do with Leo. Then there's a tote case, which is basically just an open box that has their hardware practically. Then they have the Master Craftsman chest DIY, which would be awesome to do. If I did another one, that's the one I would do. And then they have a Journeyman base DIY kit, and that's kind of one big drawer on the bottom and 3 smaller ones above it, but much more wide. I guess it would be, there's no lid on it, so you would put things above that, so it, like, you could set the Master Craftsman chest on top of it.
Okay.
But yeah, I think I know exactly which one I'm gonna do with Leo, and I just think that would be so cool, and he'll remember it,
Yeah.
and it'll be his
yeah.
toolbox.
And there'll be a video on it forever.
Yeah.
Yep.
He will remember it. It's crazy the things they remember. I showed him that picture last night. Cameron remembered the exact day that he got that lathe. He remembers that.
Yeah.
You said how old he was? It looks like he's about 5. But,
Yeah, and yesterday he was trying to be a wise ass a couple times on there, and I was like, Jesus, he's funny. He's such a
Yes.
wise ass.
I told him, I said, we put this mic. He was worried about what his friends were going to say. So he's like, Dad, let's both put a microphone on. That way it won't catch what they say, because they're not going to be. And I was like, okay, you need to remember you have a mic on. I said, don't say something under your breath or something like that. He was like, oh, I won't. But it ended up being good because I had a backup person to talk when I couldn't get my mic.
Yeah.
Nicole was the one that notified me. I looked up on the screen and I saw her. She's like, I can hear Cam, but I can't hear you. And she was like helping me out. And I actually watched for her name on the scrolling ones because she kind of kept me in the loop of what's going on. Nicole was my audio engineer on the live.
Seriously?
Yeah.
She didn't
Yeah.
even tell me.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
she
she-
watched it. She made a nice comment too.
I would have never known that I was even an audio problem. She's like, I can hear Cam, but I can't hear you. And I was like, oh. And that's when Cameron handed me his mic after a while because I wasn't going to figure it out. But yeah,
At one point, you had like 1,200 people watching, right?
it was. I didn't see the number. I didn't see.
I think
I don't know.
Cam said 1,200 people guys are watching.
Oh yeah, whatever. Cameron probably just made it up. but
1,200 people.
He's probably
If you
trying
got
to make that
1,200 people
number.
on your live, I'd be super impressed.
Yeah, yeah, because I didn't. No one
Cam.
even knew I was doing it. The only person that knew was Michael Leiden. I did tell him. He's like, "You're gonna do a live," and I said, "I'm actually was thinking about doing it. I want to make my life a little bit more complicated, but it wasn't that bad. It wasn't bad at all.
It was perfect.
Yeah,
Perfect.
we'll probably do that again. I think another lot in certain situations because it's fun to share with people like that. And then for anybody listening, it does automatically. You can make it a post, so it is out there. If you
Yep.
see, it's my last post. It's a little long. You might want to fast forward from the beginning because we
No way. No.
we had three attempts.
Okay,
Failed
so
attempt.
I'm glad you brought that up because when I opened it up to watch it, I started watching it and you're like talking about it, and then I got to a point where you were like getting ready to flip it, and then like a screw was still attached,
It
and then I
happens
was
3
watching that.
times.
I'm like, okay, let me skip forward. I skipped forward, and it was like, oh, we hit another screw. We're trying to figure it out, and then I skipped forward. Oh, we got another, and I'm like, Jesus, when are you going to flip this thing? And then finally, I got to the point where they lifted it up and they were pulling out that thing, and I remember Sedge what you were talking about. They're like sliding it, and I'm like, they've got to be running into a wall or something there because it slowed way down, and they were like shifting it, like trying to figure out where it was going to go. It's funny.
Yes. Oh, and there was a tripod right there that I was scared that the Osmo was on, and I was like, "Don't hit the Osmo! It's right there."
But when the sparks were flying, I went, "Woo!"
Yeah, that was when he was right in the front. Yeah, those sparks. I didn't know that even came out in the video. I saw that afterwards that they were all flying out from under the boat. But that was good. It was good. Yeah, Jason, we thought we had it already. That I was like, we'll jump on like 5 minutes before. We'll do the flip, and then we'll ends up being like 15, 20 minutes long. But it was fun. Like Sedge said, you never know what's going to happen when you go live. It's
Yeah.
good.
Yep.
It was good. It was
That's
good
the
practice.
beauty of it. It draws you in.
The mistakes.
But it was fun. It's so daggone authentic.
Yeah, I guess it is. It was.
Oh my God.
Fun
I'll
stuff.
never forget what really got me enamored with YouTube. I was down on my buddy's property and he had just gotten a backhoe attachment for his power takeoff on his Massey Yardley. And he goes, "You want to see something awesome?" I go, "Yeah." We watched this guy from Minnesota, and he had just gotten the attachment to delivered, and he had it put on at the yard and garden place or whatever, tractor place, and he had it on his trailer. And he goes, "Hey, I just got my backhoe," and he goes, "It's really awesome." and he's filming this, and I'm like, okay, Jim, what's so special? He goes, see how he can't operate and it can't move forward? I go, yeah. He goes, I don't have the heart, and no one is in the comments telling him he's got to remove the pin.
Oh no.
So the beauty of this, right, was it was so funny. It was like watching a train wreck. Then he went from there. He goes, I think I'll figure it out later. Follow me. I want to show you the shop. And we walked around his shop. It was just this big open bay. But he was like, hey, check this out. I just got this the other day. It was a Ryobi bench grinder. I could not stop watching this train wreck. And Jim goes, so we went and did some clearing in the woods that morning after we had watched that. And we're sitting by the pool. And he goes, what do you want to do? I go, does that guy have any more videos? And we went up in his office and watched a couple more. And the authenticity of this, and just you could feel his enthusiasm and passion, but also it was almost like a train wreck. And he was so damn honest about stuff, and there was no editing, nothing,
no editing. See, I would have loved to take the beginning out.
Any views, he didn't care. He just wanted to share his life.
Yeah, that's good. Sometimes that's like you said, that's authentic. I mean, I wanted to take the beginning part out, bring it down to about 30 seconds of my life, but you can't do that. You just have to publish it. You can't make it, cut any of it out. But
and and a guy like that I'll watch all day long.
I know what you're saying. It is better. You're watching real when you're watching that.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, boys, we're already at our time.
What?
Yeah, hard to believe.
I just looked up first time at the time. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody, for listening to episode 153.
Bye-bye. He's trying. He's
Here
trying.
we go.
He's trying. Bye-bye.
Going down our bye-bye rabbit hole.
Okay. Bye-bye.
I have total control.
I know.
As our wise friends in sync once told us.
And our great grandmother.
Bye.